Until like September of 2023, every time that I was watching a educational video on YouTube, whether it was a top 5 knowledgeable video or long form educational videos like podcasts for example, I was just coping and saying that I was productive. I would watch the entire thing, like the 2 hour long podcast, and yet I would take no action. I wouldn't do anything. In fact, I would just stay there and listen to the podcast. And then when it was over, I wouldn't even write down what I had just learned. I wouldn't implement the sleep protocol that Andrew Huberman taught me. And when I realized this, everything made sense. I remember that back in summer of 2021, when I was 14 years old and got on self-improvement for the first time, I started to watch so much of Hamza's videos back then. And back then it was all just dating and fitness videos that he would upload, and bro, I would binge watch that shit so much. Like back then he used to have like 7 editors, so he uploaded like 2 videos every single day. So I always had something new to watch from him. And plus, when you also take in the fact that he already had like 200 videos on his channel, bro, when I would watch his content, I wouldn't view it as it actually trying to help me, self-improvement content. I wasn't looking at it like that. I was just looking at it like a TV program, for example, like something that I could just binge watch to make myself feel better. My self-improvement journey, the entire point of it was to make my life better. And yet, I failed at it tremendously, because I was nothing more than a binge watcher. I was literally like that fat person who doesn't go to the gym and rather just watches fitness videos on YouTube to stay productive and make him actually feel like that he's making progress, when in reality he's just escaping his shitty life. And that was exactly what I was doing. And this continued even through summer of 2023, when I was wiser and when I got back onto self-improvement, actually wanting to improve myself. But as soon as I started to watch Hamza's content again, I just fell into the same trap again. The same trap of just coping to be productive. I was trapped in his short form content again, and I wasn't getting anything from it. But you see, somewhere around August of 2023, Hamza suddenly started to upload these long form educational guides, like discipline guide, focus guide, willpower guide, and all of these guides were a couple of hours long. I believe the discipline guide was like 3 hours long. And at first, they didn't really feel appealing to me. Back then I just preferred to watch short form educational videos on self-improvement, like for example those that were like 10 to 20 minutes long. And 30 minutes at most, but not 3 hours. But you see, 1 month later in September of 2023, I just said fuck it, and I started to watch all of those long guides, basically after school when I had the time. And in those guides, Hamza said something really interesting. You see, he used to split these guides into like sections, and in the end of each of one of those sections, he had what he called an actionable step. And this right here blew my mind when he explained it to me, because he perfectly described the situation I was in. He solved all of my problems that I had on my self-improvement journey. He solved my coping mechanisms, and he actually made me productive. Actionable step basically means taking a piece of knowledge that you learned from the video and implementing it in real life. And this was exactly what I was missing all of this time. This was the one thing that was keeping me from actually achieving success in my self-improvement journey. It was that I never took any action, and the worst thing was, I wasn't lazy. In fact, when he gave me this actionable step, I took it immediately. Like, I'm not joking. Hamza could tell me in his guides to do 10 push-ups instantly, and I would just get onto the floor right away and start doing them. It was that I just didn't even knew about that option existing, of implementing it. I had the discipline to actually do the actionable steps. I had the motivation to become better. And yet I just didn't know where to start. I didn't know how to solve my coping mechanisms. I didn't know how to break free out of this cycle. And so on that day, in September of 2023, I unlocked the ultimate life hack. Whenever you read a book or watch a long-form educational podcast on YouTube or any other long-form educational video, you always have to take at least one piece of knowledge from it and start using it in real life. Otherwise, the entire video, the entire point of you watching it was pointless. It was useless. The video failed to make your life better. And the only thing in what you've succeeded was that you made yourself disappointed about yourself once again. Because yeah, you have the desire to become better, to actually quit this addiction of being addicted to social media. You understand the difference between instant gratification and delayed gratification. So you want to get the delayed gratification so that you're not hooked on video games, on fapping, on social media. But when you don't learn anything from the video and you just mindlessly watch it to make the time pass, then you're just coping. You're just saying to yourself that you're being productive, yet at the same time you're just the same loser that you were, except that you have now one less hour of your lifetime. You have wasted that hour of your precious life. The 1 hour that you could have spent manually thinking about what life lesson you can take from this video. What life lesson can make your life instantly better when you implement it? What piece of knowledge can you give to other people, for example, so that they don't have to make the same trials and tribulations that you went through, the same mistakes? Because when you don't take anything from a YouTube video, and this includes this video also, and you just continue to mindlessly scroll on, your YouTube homepage to stumble upon the next dopamine hit, like for example, 6 side hustles to start in 2024. And you watch the entire video like not being present half of the time. And even if I took away your computer or your phone, for example, and I asked you, what was the sentence that he said 6 minutes ago? You wouldn't be able to reply to me. Do you see how ridiculous this is? That's like being addicted to video games and still playing them 1 hour at the end of the day to just quote, relax. Let me be completely honest to you. We as men on self-improvement, we only relax when we sleep. Now, of course, this is kind of an exaggeration. Sure, once you do achieve financial, location and time freedom, and once you actually become successful in your relationships, in your health, for example, then maybe, just maybe you can have like a 2-week long period of these bad habits, but then you have to get back to work right away. Because of course, there must be like an 80-20 split in your life. Basically, you dedicate 80% to your life goals, like achieving success in wealth, health and relationships, and 20% relaxation, basically like your sleep, these instant gratification activities, for example. But the main point is, if you want to become the best version of yourself, if you want to become productive for most of your day, literally 90% of the time, like just think about how many seconds there are in a day and think about it. There are some men on this path, just like us, who are more dedicated than you, but they are productive 90% of the time. Because every single time life throws a temptation on them, whether it's that video game trying to bring them back, or that high dopamine thumbnail on their YouTube homepage wants to get them back into the social media addiction, or they have the urges to start fapping again. They are taking valuable life lessons from them. Like for example, when they get these urges to go back to these instant gratification activities, they just think to themselves, oh yeah, I'm kind of lonely, better call my friends and go hit a gym workout, or something like that. And suddenly, the urge will be gone, because they already know what is the root cause of those temptations, and they already know how to get rid of them, just like that. The law of implementation doesn't just apply to watching YouTube videos, it applies to your entire life in general. Like for example, when you reflect back on that argument you had like 5 years ago with your teacher, for example, you can analyze that situation and conclude that, yeah, I was kind of a dumbass back then. I wasn't even paying attention half of the time. I barely did my homework and I didn't even understand the subject at all. And just like that, you were productive because you got a valuable life lesson from that, to basically become a better version of yourself. Because the way you do your homework actually reflects your business work also, and the way that you work in general. So you better become strong right away. But here's the thing. Once you have the life lesson, you have to implement it. Like in the example that we just talked about you realizing that you were a dumbass to your teacher and that you need to become better at studying, for example, because in the future when you try to make an online business, it just won't succeed because you won't be disciplined enough. Then that's a valuable life lesson that you can constantly remember. But here's the thing, until you actually implement it, until you actually start to become the best version of yourself, until you actually start trying, you won't make enough progress. And most likely in a week from now, you won't even remember that you had this realization. Because let me tell you, finding this life lesson and watching these long-form educational videos and reading books without actually implementing the knowledge is level 1 learning. But implementing the knowledge is like level 100 learning. You remember it so much easier and so much better just like that. Because you actually take the knowledge and you use it productively. You go through the same trials and tribulations that the author had to went through in order to confirm that it actually works. And then you can see for yourself that the advice actually works. And then once you take the action and you actually use it in real life and it has a positive outcome, then that situation gets stored as a memory inside of your head, as a story that you can constantly look back upon. And the best way that our brain remembers something is to imagine it as a story. You just have to take action. There's no other way. You actually have to discipline yourself to use the knowledge. You have to get used to this principle of taking action. Because the sooner that you get used to it, the easier life will become. Because as a masculine man on self-improvement that we are, every single second of our existence on this planet, in this life, is a test. The outside world is always trying to test us and change us. And so you have to constantly look out for the temptations to get valuable life lessons from them, so that the next time they strike you, you know how to deal with them. Like for example, you can be recording a YouTube video and suddenly your mom calls you to eat dinner, for example, and suddenly she pulls you away from the focus from your flow state, and then when you come back like 10 minutes later, the flow state is already gone and you have to spend like 20 minutes to get back into it. Well, you can take a valuable life lesson from it to basically become a better speaker, so that the next time she calls you, you can just say to her, 5 minutes please, and you actually do finish it in 5 minutes, because your speaking skill is on a whole another level. So you always have to be on the lookout for new opportunities. I actually encourage you to seek out these temptations that life throws at you every single day, to actually gain the life lessons that you can later implement to deal with those situations easier. And not just from the current and the future life situations, but from the past also. All of your traumas, all of your awkward situations, all of your mistakes that you've ever done are chances to get valuable life lessons that you can later implement, so that in the future you have it a lot easier. Don't you see the beauty inside of it? You are constantly presented with these new tests on how to become better and better every single day. And if you're watching this video 13 minutes in, then let me tell you, most likely you are already better than 99% of people. Because if you have this great attention span to watch this kind of video for this long, then I sincerely congratulate you. You have a lot more potential than you think you have. But just please, 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 use this potential that you have to actually start implementing the knowledge and not be afraid of the awkwardness when you fail for the first time, because it has happened to me so many times before. Don't be afraid to go through the trials and tribulations of implementing the said knowledge, because by making mistakes, we are becoming better. We learn from our mistakes. Literally, Thomas Edison, he failed for the first like 10,000 times until he made the first light bulb. So you don't have to be ashamed. And if those pathetic crabs that you know you are better than make fun of you because, oh ha, Thomas has failed again, why are you even trying on self-improvement? There's no point. You can't make a powerful online business. What do you mean you're soulmate? That concept is bullshit. What do you mean a 10 out of 10 godly physique? Even if you gain some muscle, you will lose it. Just look at me, I'm 14 years old. And look at my physique, oh. Do you want to know the first step on how to become better than them? Well, you've already done it, because you're still watching this video. You don't have a fucked up attention span. But the next step that you can take is to just implement the knowledge that you get from life. Because think about it. Do you really think that you will have a shitty physique in your 40s, like your uncle for example, if you just stay consistent in going to the gym for the rest of your life? Because think about it, you may be now going to the gym like barely for like few months, but think about it, in 20 years, when you're gonna be 40 years old, by that point, you will be already going to the gym for the past like 25 years. Just imagine the progress that you will make until that point. You won't look like your uncle, because you've actually stayed disciplined in implementing the knowledge that you've been learning, that you've been slowly gathering for the past 25 years of your life. And so please, if you are willing to take action, then I do believe that you'll become a powerful asset in our Discord clan in the description. I know that you will find your place in there. It's a place where you can connect with like-minded people who share the same values as you, who want to become the best version of themselves too. You can get a closer contact to me also. I can literally become one of the 5 people that you are the most close with. And you know what they say, you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So just imagine that growth that you can have with me. But of course, just gathering the knowledge, as we've already said, is nothing. You need to implement it. And so, as your actionable step that I always give you at the end of these videos, is to comment on which part of the video you liked the most. It is not a question, it's an order. I want you to do it, because at that point, you will actually implement the knowledge. You'll remember it better, because you'll remember, oh no, TR has called me out to actually comment on which part of the video I like the most, because otherwise I will be a pussy who's just comping on being productive. And so you actually do it, and you remember the advice better. And so you can already start being productive right away from just watching this video alone. And with that being said, become part of the family, join the Discord clan. Thank you so much for watching this video, and remember, no one is better at being you.